What is good, everybody? Man, it's your boy Jay in the building. We're back again with another video. Alright, man, so this here we have the mid-season SWAC awards for the 2022 season, man. I have a list of guys who I think so far is in the running for SWAC newcomer, SWAC defensive player, and SWAC offensive player of the year. I have 5 guys, so I'm gonna make this short and sweet, and we're gonna move this right along. So, first list I have is the SWAC newcomers of the year. So, at number 5, I have Dallas Daniels, transfer from Western Illinois, wide receiver for Jackson State. He has so far has 31 receptions with 393 yards and 4 touchdowns. He has been the best receiver for Jackson State so far. He is second in the conference in receptions, third in receiving yards, and second in touchdown catches. He has definitely been holding it down for the receivers at Jackson State, and I have him at number 5. At number 4, I have LAING, defensive end for Southern, the transfer from East Mississippi Community College. So far, he has 22 tackles, 2.5 sacks, and 8.5 tackles for loss. He's really held it down with that strong front seven with Joe Dumars and Jordan Lewis. That front seven has definitely come along within the last 2 weeks, but LAING has definitely been the driving force for that Southern defense so far, and that's why I have him at number 4. At number 3, I have Isaiah Major, the linebacker for Florida A&M, the transfer from Independence Community College. He has so far been the best defensive player for FAMU. He has 52 tackles, 5 tackles for loss, and 2 sacks. His 52 tackles is third in the conference, and it leads FAMU's defense. Matter of fact, the second closest person on his team with the amount of tackles is 26. He's definitely been the driving force for the defense. Even with Isaiah Land's quiet season so far, their team has won 4 games in a row, and he has definitely been the driving force of that defense. So I have Isaiah Major at number 3. At number 2, I have JARVEON Howard, the transfer from Syracuse and the running back for Alcorn State. He has 646 rushing yards with 8 touchdowns. His rush yards now also leads the SWAC in both rushing yards and touchdowns, but he is also 4th in the entire FCS in yards and 5th in touchdowns. He's been the driving force for Alcorn, period. He's been the best player for Alcorn, and he is a powerful runner. He's a touchdown machine. He has 8 touchdowns in 5 games, so I have him at number 2. And for the player that I have so far leading the way for the SWAC Newcomer of the Year award, I have Jeremy MOUSSA, the grad transfer from Vanderbilt and the current quarterback for Florida A&M. So far, he has 121 completions, 1,511 yards passing with 10 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. And he's definitely been the driving force for FAMU. One of the main reasons why FAMU is on a 4-game winning streak so far, and I have him at number 1. Now for my top 5 SWAC Defensive Player of the Year award candidates so far, midway point to the season. At number 5, I have Keenan Isaac, the cornerback for Alabama State. 22 tackles, a tackle for loss, 2 interceptions, and 6 pass breakups. Alabama State has not allowed 100-yard receivers so far this year. As a matter of fact, no receiver has had over 80 yards so far on Alabama State, and I believe Keenan Isaac has been the driving force of that. He so far, to me, has been the best cornerback in the SWAC. Not only the best cornerback, but the best defensive back in the SWAC so far. Definitely a lockdown corner. 6'3", 200 pounds. Definitely an NFL made cornerback, and I have him at number 5. At number 4, I have his teammate Carlton Adams, a linebacker for Alabama State. Has 59 tackles, which is number 1 in the SWAC, along with 4.5 tackles for loss and 3 pass breakups. This past weekend against Jackson State, he had 18 tackles and a tackle for loss. This dude is definitely a tackling machine, and I have him at number 4. At number 3, I have Lewis Matthews, linebacker for Grambling State. He has 54 tackles, which is second in the conference. He also has 7 tackles for loss and a half a sack. His tackles for loss is top 5 in the SWAC. Grambling State's defense has not been very good so far this year, but Lewis Matthews has been one of the driving force for his defense and been the best defensive player on his team. And I have him at number 3. At number 2, I have NYLES GADDY, the defensive end for Jackson State. Has 19 tackles, 4.5 sacks with 7 tackles for loss and a forced fumble. He plays with a great front 7, the best front 7 in the SWAC, one of the best front 7s in the country, and he is the spearhead of that. This is a dangerous front 7, but alongside a dangerous guy, man, and I have him at number 2. My number 1 player so far that I have winning the SWAC Defensive Player of the Year, I have Ronnie Thomas, defensive end for Mississippi Valley State. He has 37 tackles with 7 sacks and 12.5 tackles for loss and a forced fumble. His tackles for loss is second in the FCS, and his 7 sacks is tied for 4th in FCS. Valley State still does not have a win, but Ronnie Thomas has been the bright spot for Valley State, which is why, I have him at number 1. He is definitely a dangerous force for that Valley State defense, man. So I have him at number 1. And for my top 5 offensive players so far in the SWAC, starting with number 5, I have BESEAN MCCRAY at number 5, the quarterback for Southern. Has 819 yards passing with 8 touchdowns and 5 interceptions to go along with 389 rush yards and an additional 4 touchdowns. He's been the leading rusher on his team so far, top 5 in the SWAC in rushing. He's not only a threat to throwing the ball, which is what he did very well last week versus Prairie View, but he is also a threat to run the ball. Well, he's top 5 in the SWAC in rushing, so I have BESEAN MCCRAY at number 5. At number 4, I have JARVEON Howard, running back for Alcorn State. Like I said, I had him number 2 for my SWAC newcomer. Like I said, man, dude is a very dangerous runner, leads the SWAC in rushing, and has the most rushing touchdowns in the SWAC. Very dangerous runner, and I have JARVEON Howard at number 4. At number 3, I have the X-Men, XAVIER Smith, wide receiver for Florida A&M. He leads the SWAC in receptions with 48, in receiving yards with 548, and touchdown catches, which is 7. Not only leads the SWAC in all 3 categories, but he's 3rd in receptions in the FCS, 9th in the country in receiving yards, and tied for 2nd with in touchdown catches with 7. This dude has been nothing short of amazing for FAMU thus far. He's definitely been one of the driving forces. He's been the best skilled player so far in the SWAC, and he is a matchup nightmare and has been a matchup nightmare so far for every defensive team so far that they went up against. So I have XAVIER Smith at number 3. At number 2, I have Jeremy MOUSSA, the quarterback for Florida A&M. I also have him so far leading the way for SWAC Newcomer of the Year. Like I said before, dangerous passer, dangerous quarterback. And so he is the spearhead for why FAMU is on a 4-game winning streak. And they are 4-2 on the season so far. So I have Jeremy MOUSSA at number 2. And so far, the best offensive player in the SWAC is SHEDEUR Sanders, quarterback for Jackson State. This is a runaway so far. 1,700 yards. 1,700 yards in the SWAC, 17 touchdowns, and only 2 interceptions. His passing yards is 4th in the FCS, and his touchdown passes is also 4th in the country. He also is top 5 in total yards in total offense per game. He does not make mistakes. He is very careful when it comes to throwing the ball. He takes what's given to him, and this dude is very, very dangerous, not only in the pocket but outside the pocket, and he can run when he wants to. So I have SHEDEUR Sanders at number 1. So those are my mid-season awards, man, and I'm proud of all these men so far, and I hope these guys keep going, man, and I can't wait to see what happens toward the end of this year, man. But that's my list so far, and if you guys have any questions or if you guys have a list yourselves, y'all can put it under the comments, man. We out of here.